starts blinking.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. All right. And that new sports light is brand new too. It took away all the bulbs. What's up?
There you go.
Oh.
Can you see anything on it, or is it just kind of like...
No, he will be able to see it when he reviews the fridge.
You're pretty quiet tonight, Kathleen.
Oh, very focused.
Because Martin, like, he had me occupied in between every space. Whose idea was it to do this? That's what it was your booking. That's why I was like, oh, she's going to be one talking my ear off, and then he's catching up with me. He keeps my pace, too. That's a long way.
Right.
Hey, Dad. Can I put this by the... I wonder if, like, that electricity will mess with this thing.
Turn up.
I tried to mess with my phone a little bit. On Wi-Fi.
She set it down. And she hasn't really had much come up on this thing all night long. We have the word wall. We just discussed the walls. Not to mention we were sitting on the wall. Suffering, too big for me. But we have the word bang. I told you we were going to get terms from Philadelphia Alley pretty much the rest of the evening. So I'll be looking for any kind of like word that says gun or gunshot, anything that's going to be relative to somebody getting killed and with one shot, or even the word kneecap. The word kneecap has shown up several times in the past too. But it's like the minute she sets it down, all of a sudden, oh, there we go, shoot. The minute she set it down, it started coming up with other words. Sultry. Interesting. And there's a flame from the Pinckney Mansion. But yeah, the minute she set it down, we started getting like, okay, those are a little bit more relevant. It is cool. The word wall has shown up quite a bit at this location. So again, we're standing right on the edge of it. So hopefully something else is going to be on the fire. Any colors coming up yet?
Not yet, no. At the first place, it was crazy because anytime like you or my sister mentioned like any of the kids' names, it would flash up really high.
Yeah, because you kept saying you were getting like 14s out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty decent.
Yeah. Until you mentioned the baby, and then it was like,
No, this was that's why I said you guys have the poker bear. All right, what do you got?
I wonder if these things have like outside, like a use besides ghost hunting, or someone like made these things for ghost hunting.
Being a good sport about this, huh? It's good.
Thought about telling her about my ancestor, the pirate, but I didn't. Huh?
Nope. Some things private.
What?
I want to keep some things private.
Yeah. He used to be a Walmart manager.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I also didn't tell him I do retail.
Yeah.
not been doing anything. Oh, that's good.
Found her phone. That's a big deal. She lost her phone in Lodge Alley, so they had to look all the time. Alright. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Alright, you getting anything on yours?
You lost the phone?
The young girls.
What did those people say that were walking by when he said,
You say like, thanks for being here. Thanks for
thanks for coming out?
Thanks for coming out. Y'all want to come back?
Yeah.
Scarlet, when we were talking about the hair color.
Yeah, what?
Scarlet. Like on the. Did you tell him? Yeah, yeah.
Right.
She seems excited. It was like when me and Matthew were talking about it. Welcome to see us. The name of this ship is.
You asking?
Yeah. I haven't heard any names, so. People are out front.
I don't think ghosts like cable.
Yeah.
They keep on doing weird things to her. She gets all like the words.
Well, maybe they're
They
trying to
like her.
communicate through me.
Yeah.
They consider me trustworthy. I heard preach the gospel, and he said that's very common for the other church.
Oh.
Yeah. Let's try to get the name of them. What's the name of your ship?
Stop filming now.
People are going to be walking by, they need to be filmed. We're going to be very discreet at this location. Same thing with yours, Martin. We want you filming the alley behind me, but again, we want to just kind of keep it steady, be very discreet with it, just nice and low. That reading, just so you know, is from the building behind you. Like it's not any kind of ghost just hanging on to it. Have you heard anything along the way here? Nothing? Jack Black. You know I'm writing it down, right? So, very interesting. I want to see what comes up around that, because that's actually two different clues. Did we hear anything on your spirit box? Nothing at all. Anything come up on yours? Ooh, we got to get you guys talking. This is supposed to be fun. All right, at least we got some smiles out. So, the alley behind me is called Philadelphia Alley. That's what we all know it by now. However, it used to be called Duelers Alley. This is where the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston, at least some of them. Now, we all tell the same story about this doctor that actually moved down here, but I'm obviously going to be telling you the history of this a little bit differently, just because you're ghost hunting. You're going to need a little bit more detail, so I'm going to let these folks come through. Absolutely. Thanks for coming out. But again, you're going to need more details than what the campfire ghost stories are across the street. So, let's get into it. The doctor that moved down here from Rhode Island, his name is Dr. Joseph Brown Flagg. He moves down here from Rhode Island. He moves here because his fiancée, Amanda, just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash flow. The attorney thinks that the doctor is just after Amanda's money, so he tells her to get rid of the doctor. To prove that he's not after her money, he moves to Charleston. He's going to start a new medical practice down here. As he's coming into town, the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. somebody walking by, local, his name is Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph because Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island. R.I. shows up here all the time, but I just gave you the two main characters of the whole story. We need the secondary clues so we know who it belongs to, just so you know that. But Ralph says, dude, you don't want to stay here. There's a gunman inside. I know this guy's going to try to kill you, but I have some friends at 59 Church Street. You can stay there, and you can say, good to go. The doctor takes him up on the offer, and the two become friends. The longer the doctor stays here in Charleston, the more his practice begins to take off. He's making his own money. He's proving his point that he wasn't after Amanda's money. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor because Amanda's moving down soon. Every haunted city you visit in the future is going to have a whistling cliche ghost. I guarantee it. So, I actually have proof of this one. Let's continue on. Him and Ralph go see plays together, but they cannot sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. That's just the way things work back in Charleston back then. So they start talking about this play on the way home. They're arguing over the new actress that was in town. The doctor thought she was great. Ralph, not so much. He gets even more heated when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée Amanda back home in Rhode Island. Obviously it gets ugly, they go their separate ways. Ralph being from here, puts those friends with the newspaper. Sorry, I got distracted by blinky lights. On the K2 meter. But he has friends at the newspaper. He has friends at the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Dr. Ladd rebuttals with, let's go to the news alley, we're going to settle this. He can come down, take her 10 paces, return, the doctor points his gun in the air, and shoots. He did not point to his friend. That has the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened at a duel anyway. So Ralph has his one bullet, puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. The doctor drops and dies. His friends pick him up, carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. This guy's a doctor. Probably tried to bleed out his bullets himself. Now, the campfire part of the ghost story is that when you walk through this alley, you can actually hear the whistles from the doctor. I obviously have a voice recorder on my bag. I need to take my quarters all the way through there. If you're going to walk down there and use the voice recorders on your phone, I want you to keep in mind that all the locals know this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland with Queen Street on the other side blows a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night on my way home because we're going to end up there. My garage is there. I have to pass the alley in order to get to my car. So I always throw a whistle just because I'm not allowed down there. And I want to mess with the other toys. So let's tell you why I'm not allowed down there anymore. This alley didn't always come all the way through. So, then you have the bricks on the other side of sun-dried bricks, slave children. There's a full handprint, and there are fingerprints marked at the end. Now, there's rumors that they're not actual real handprints, fingerprints, that people planted them so that way we can talk about our slave trade. However, everybody wants to try to stop and get some kind of EMF reading or spirit box reading out of that brick with a handprint in it. On November 26th of 2020, my entire group wanted to huddle around that one brick, and I treat that way the same way I do a grave. Nobody is staring at that brick in the afterlife, especially the kid that actually had to turn that brick to get it to, heart. It's outside a gentleman's dining room window, and I was not supposed to be there. So, beautiful mansions at the end of this alley, you come out asking for my license number, the whole 9 yards. My daughter thought it was hysterical because Dad's getting yelled at. So, the next day we moved on, and the next day was Thanksgiving. I did not have a tour. I worked in retail for over 20 years. I finally took a Thanksgiving off. I'm sure you all can appreciate that. The next day was November 28th of 2020. I got a phone call that morning from the tourism office asking me to go down halfway, like what we're allowed to go through, or to reroute my tour. I decided it's not fair for my 10 people to try to work around 20 to 60 people. We're going to reroute. However, the story I was about to tell them, I didn't truly believe it, and I told them that. We're going to wing it and see what happens. I did not tell them who we were going to be investigating. Before we leave, somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box. I did not tell them we were going to be investigating Anne Bonny, the famous female pirate. When I get up there and I told them what little bit I did know about Anne Bonny, I said, okay, let's see what happens kind of mentality. Tickets were much cheaper by then. Just kind of keep that in mind. I was able to wing it. Somebody else hears the number 300, and I don't know what the number 300 is, so I researched it the next day. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th, 1720. We were there on the exact 300th anniversary of her piracy. I keep taking you guys back there night after night. However, I am going to tell you it's a hit or miss. One of the best pieces I've gotten, Matthew, is what I just told you about earlier. I asked Anne Bonny to show us her hair color, and that's where we got the color red. His device does not go red unless somebody's actually touching that device. I've never seen a color red on demand, and I just had it about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago tops. So we're going to try that again after I give you the crazy pirate history of that location. Before we leave the space, has anybody heard or seen anything on the spirit boxes before we go? I know you guys have, again, been focused on me, which is pretty attentive, so good on you. At that space, lasers will be back in effect, just so you know. It is a crazy history, and again, it is pirate lore, but I've read as many books as I could possibly find on pirates to try to piece this together for y'all. So let's go head up to this crazy powder magazine and talk about pirates tomorrow, right? Alright, we're gonna head up this way.
How did they know who you were?
Well, obviously the guy with a backpack, leading a group of people, the guy came out of his house.
So the tourism folks know who the different folks are who do tours.
Yeah, and he'd come out asking for, my license number and all of that. You don't have to have a license in Charleston anymore. And at the time, I was working underneath a tour company. Like this guy starting off a new company. That's how I got started. And just, picking his brain for a year until I can do this, on my own time, obviously. But I just thought, what? It's Charleston Cavalier Tours.
What was the residence? What was the issue?
Well, we're not supposed to be there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's ordinances of where the tours are actually allowed to go. And it is residential. Before you're allowed to go on that way, the Lodge Alley actually marks that line. Like we are literally right on the border of where we are actually allowed to go.
But it's not. It's over, where the prison dungeon is. Yeah. And I heard you're way off. And when it said that, I was like, oh yeah, you're right. It's over at the other building. So that's what I heard.
Any names or any other phrases come through on those spirit boxes? Nothing at all. Saint Louis. And you're way off. Alright, so as far as the lasers in this location, Kathleen, you can actually swap places with Caitlin. I'm going to have you point one of your lasers at this wall directly and try to keep it still. And then obviously you're going to be filming just directly down the alley. You don't need to have the green grid in the way. We're basically looking from here to the pen, obviously, so if anything shows up, will be fantastic. So again, we're not going to be here for a super long time, so that way your arm won't get too tired from being in one spot. But welcome to Lodge Alley. When we cross that last crosswalk, coming down East Main Street, that's where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. Charleston used to be called Charlestown, and we were a walled city. You're standing on one of the very first streets we ever had. So, we're going to get into the names here. So the names, the reason why I asked for those names is because I normally get the same two names along the way here, and that's because people used to live down here. I have a full list of residents, every single person that's ever lived here. Obviously, these two large buildings were not here, and don't be too impressed with that list of names. It's not very lengthy. Only 2 to 5 people lived here at any given point in time, but I still get the same two names every 6 to 7 weeks. Those two names are Benjamin and John. I know very common names, but when I say people live down here, only 5 at a time. 2 out of 5 people that lived here in 1801 keep showing up every 6 to 7 weeks. John, there were 4 different Johns that lived down here during a 60-year time span. This particular John from 1801 loves to give us his last name, Johnson. Yes, his name was John Johnson. I know, very funny. But again, we do get John, Johnson, Ben, all on the same night on a 6 to 7 week loop. We're in week 4 or 5 right now of that loop. I was not expecting Benjamin and John. I'm actually going to start seeing those probably in the middle of next week into the end of next week. Now, do I have anything specific about Ben and John? No. I just keep getting those same names over and over again. Here's why I think it's happening. You're standing on Belgian blocks. These blocks have been here for at least until like the minimum. So, you're made of granite. You guys all seem like you're into the paranormal of some sort. You've heard the term limestone before. They say limestone actually stirs up paranormal activity because it comes straight from the earth, and so does granite. And we're not supposed to have any kind of electrical, EMF reading coming out of these bricks whatsoever. I'm not going to have you place your device directly on the ground with just the readings that's on there now, and let me know if you get anything. You should only get about a 1.1. Okay, let me know if it goes any higher than that. Give it a few minutes. Sometimes it takes a minute to build up. It's the weirdest thing. Now, last time we actually got, I want to say it was like a 6 or a 7, but I've seen it go all the way to 15 in this location where we're not supposed to have any EMF at all. Now, the whole point of why I'm telling you this is because these bricks is part of the stone tape theory. Only explanation I can come up with. Stone tape theory is basically that these bricks are hanging on to the consciousness of memories and spitting it back to us in recording format, and that way we can actually see where the EMF is actually coming from. Now, can I prove any of this yet? Not yet, but this has been a very deep study for the past 5-6 weeks as I've been going through this EMF study a lot further. What's the highest number you see it go to? 2.2. Okay, go ahead and pick it up. It's probably not going to get anything higher than that. Look at you switching it up. Look at, I love it. You're like, green is almost getting boring. Then you go to red. Now, before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley. We will get terms wrapped around the Freemasons, including symbols, and the word Illuminati loves to show up on the red spirit boxes with the earbuds. Now, my question to you is, who the hell is talking about the Illuminati on the radio? Because that's where it's coming from. I only get it while we're in this space. 6 times the word Illuminati showed up last year, and 3 times this year. The word symbols has shown up twice so far this year. Every time I brought up the Illuminati, it came up right away on the word list, where somebody heard the word symbols, and I was able to verify it on the recordings. So take that for what it's worth. Again, I never know what's going to happen in this location. All I know is where we are in the loop. To make sure security's not going to come through and kind of interrupt your laser. So see security to shut down. But here's what's going to happen from here. I just linger here for a few minutes because again, we're not going to ask questions because it's a weird space. We can't ask questions because we're not necessarily always here. It's all about that loop. The next space is another alley, and I can't take you all the way through it. Why? Because I've been booted out. It is considered residential at the end of it. You guys have all the noisemakers that you guys can hear and the blinky lights. Yeah, I'm not supposed to be over there. I got caught when I first started doing these tours a few years ago. I am going to tell you the story of how I got booted out of that area at the location, but we're going to be telling the story of that alley outside of it because we're still going to be able to stir up enough activity outside of it to be able to linger with us the rest of the night. It happens all the time because we're going to be relatively close to it. Things do bleed over from time to time. Charleston's very, compacted, like we're right next to each other on a lot of things. I will expect certain things, by the way, at the Pinky Mansion site to show up from Big John's and vice versa. It happens here all the time. So we're done with Eliza now. We're kind of far away. However, we are going to be getting close to her husband's grave. Every once in a while, a pinky term will show up that's relative to just them while we're pretty close to that. So as we exit the alley, we're definitely going to cut off our videos because we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood to get to the next alley. Those of you with noisy spirit boxes, we will keep them, put them back on mute because we're not going to be disturbing anybody that lives down there. Lasers are definitely still out of the game. EMF meters are still kind of out of the game too, because we do run that experiment here. I'll be running down at 2.2 just so that we have it, recorded that way. But go ahead and put your lasers, Miss Kathleen. Anything you guys may have heard or seen on your spirit boxes before?
Those are questions. Now we're trying to figure out what your children's names are.
Yeah.
But also, I'm supposed to be paying attention to like anything because it could be responding to someone else's question.
Do you have any questions for the ghosts?
Where's Eliza?
Well, that like occasionally here.
It's not really done anything when I've asked questions, but when Caitlin talks, it doesn't like it.
What happened here? What happened here in the 1700s? What did Charles do?
How many Elizas were there? First Eliza or second Eliza? Oh, 15.3. 8.7.
I bet your house was beautiful. I wish it was still here so I could see it.
keep walking around.
Yep. More filming to do.
Okay. I heard something. That's good. All right. Now this is going nuts.
There's people over there looking at us. We gotta screw this. Looking at us like we gotta screw
Crazy
this.
people.
Are you aiming the camera appropriately?
What'd you say?
I'm making sure you're aiming the camera.
Oh, I am. Yeah,
No,
I
I
am.
can take pictures.
Yeah, I am.
Alright, let's head back to where we started back there. We got a couple of things we can piece together. Martin, you can go ahead and stop that video. That's the button at the top, the one that's flashing. You want to press it really hard.
Oh, the breeze smells good.
Huh?
The breeze smells good.
Yeah.
I bought a backpack with water. Thirsty.
Yeah, I'm thirsty. These guys over here to the right are like, what the hell is going on?
How are they doing? Did you hear anything?
We go over and start filming them.
Did you hear anything, Katie? No, the only numbers I've gotten are from the July sale and 102.5 for the radio station. Okay. Are you asking your question? Yeah. What were your questions again? How many 16 have their name? The only name I've got is Jesus. Did y'all got any? I don't think we would see it. Even
I haven't
if we
seen
did.
any interruptions with the laser.
So, you guys got the gist of the cameras and the lasers.
Yep.
I know it's not a super exciting in the moment type catch. It's all about that video the next day.
Yeah.
So again, with that motion, we never know what's going to pop up on there. However, unfortunately, they're necessary. I hate to say I have to assign it to somebody, but again, when you actually capture something, it is one of those holy cow moments, like what you capture in a thermal imaging camera. But so, again, just do your best. In certain spaces,
So
you can't use them.
should we see an interruption in the beam at all or not?
You may see it in real time.
All right.
It's a possibility. I'm not going to count that out, but I would tell you that 90% of the things I've caught with this camera have come out of watching the video the next day.
Okay, very
So,
good.
and even with the digital pictures, it's been the same thing. I'm sorry, you had another question?
So I just alternate between the two lanes.
You can use them both at the same time if you want. Just don't cross the streams. Otherwise, it's pointless. That way, you only have one.
It looks like it
laser
might
grid.
be starting and stopping some. Because
Yes, it's going to create new files every 9.5 minutes or so.
Okay.
Because those files are giant.
Got it.
So I'll let you know when we're. I mean, if it
The red here just means the camera's running, not
you
the
got
battery's
it.
low.
Yeah,
Okay.
the battery's in the lower left, and it's on a charger, so it stays charged for
Oh,
us
yeah.
all night. That's
Cool.
where the weight's coming from.
So I just like walk around like this.
You got it. I know, seems silly, but hopefully we capture a ghost that way. Seems ridiculous for some reason.
What?
Oh, it didn't like that. I don't think it likes you.
I'm electric. I'm electronic.
Right where you're at, I'm going to send a spirit bomb your way.
Ooh.
Yeah?
It was like 41. I said the word Eliza and then it jumped up to like 41 and I said Indigo Farm and it went back up. It's kind of creepy.
Like, what's the number right now?
0. So like I'll like randomly like go like really, really high.
And he said that would be the case that he's
Like
here?
something, yeah. Because like when he was talking to me and he said like the word, he said like the lady's name, it like immediately went to 41 and then back down.
Let's say the man's name.
Was it Charles?
Yeah.
Charles is here. You're also supposed to ask like to make numbers for like lights flash.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Charles, can you make like the blue light show up? He got it to work. I don't know how that's it.
Oh, gotcha, guys.
Yeah. About ghosts. She asked her on ghosts.
So are you getting the gist on how to listen to that? I know it's not an easy job.
So do I just ask the question and then listen for, like, numbers when I ask how many?
Yeah, so, but the other thing, like I just told the other lady with the same device, is it's whatever you can actually make out of it. So you have to remember, we're using 9 communication devices tonight. So the answers can go anywhere. So if you hear, I'll just tell you that the word flame showed up on the board.
She's like, why is
I'm
he
going to
doing
give you the word fire.
Tell her.
Oh, yeah, I know her.
What'd they say then?
She's like, sleep well. She's like, oh, that's crazy. Sleep well.
How old were they? Kids?
Oh, like,
So, it doesn't matter, whatever you can make out, I want to know what's clear. I just give you these questions. Yeah, I just give you these questions so that way you have something to work with. Again, you can yes with questions, and then something else that you're going to do. Just never know. 9 Yeah, your thing is crazy.
Yeah. And I could like kind of move down.
But again, you've been standing pretty much in the same spot.
Yeah. It's not done.
What were those folks asking you in the car?
they were asking if we were on a ghost tour.
We're the weirdos. So as we go through the city, you're going to find, that's why I kind of stay out of everybody's way. You know, we got laser lights and crazy cameras, and that's why even the other tours, like some of them are like, he's out again. You know, I'm out everything. But you're going to see, like, I'm going to keep us out of everybody's way just so that you guys don't get bothered like that on my own. So, but yeah, I get asked those questions all the time. What are you guys doing in the middle of a parking lot? We're ghost hunting. What do you think we're doing?
Show me your car.
talking to Caitlin. Caitlin got a creepy thing.
That apparently she had 4 kids, and I heard 4th of July sale pop up on the thing.
Yeah. And then when she mentioned,
Like,
every
you
time she
can
says
listen
kids,
to it,
it
it's
jumps
like
up
straight
again.
static, and you, like, get a couple things here and there. So when you hear something,
And every time Caitlin said kids, it's like gone really high. Oh yeah, so turn it up to 4. I don't know if that matters.
see, so, like, when you hear words, it's like, well, she would, like, use this to communicate with us. Or,
Congratulations, everybody. You made it to a parking lot. You made it. I told you I'm taking you to weird spaces. But this space actually used to be something. First off, spirit boxes, I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the big red barn. Just so you guys know, this is the first space I'll withhold information. So let's get into it. What the heck is this place? This used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney mansion site. Their mansion actually sat in the front of this parking lot. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant, came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So that's the layout of the land. Who the heck were these people? Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. There's 3 different Charleses. You guys see why I look for those secondary verifiers now? Yeah, we never know which Charles we're actually speaking to. So, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a pretty big deal to us South Carolinians. However, I hate politics more than everybody here, so we're going to move on. We're going to talk about Eliza. Her story is way cooler anyway. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards. If you'll ask her how old she was when she got married, you're not going to hear numbers like 12 and 14, just so you know. She came from colonial times. That was about an average age between 12 and 16 of getting married. I'm talking about today's standards. The only reason I bring this up is because Charles, her husband, was over double her age. Creepy then, creepy now. Just so you guys know, it's a pretty big age gap between the 2 of them.
Oh, we up to 15.9. If that matters.
Beautiful. That's actually a pretty decent spike for just standing right here. Do me a favor though, while I'm continue on with this history, test that wire, just get close to it and see if you get a readout out of it. You don't need to touch it, just get like 3.5. How much? 3.5? Okay, so we definitely, that 15.9 is out of nowhere. Beautiful. So, with that, she married Charles at a young age, obviously, because her father, over in England, thought he was dying. Yeah, let's go ahead and mute it just for a few minutes. I know you're excited because we have readings.
I wasn't sure yet.
We're to 4.8 at that point.
4.8.
Yeah.
So at the 15, we have the 4.8, we have a 15.9. Let's escalate it above anything 15.9, and we'll talk more about that after everybody separates. So, where was I? So Dad was dying over in England, and he's trying to bring all of his kids home. He wants to see all his kids one last time. Well, Eliza didn't think he was dying, so she stayed put, and she got married. It's 1744. You don't get married in 1744 for a green card, because we're not even a country yet. She married Chuck out of love, believe it or not, and even after his death, she did remain a widow. You're going to find out later on that was a really, really long time to be a widow. Now, her father did not die right away, which means Eliza was correct. Instead, he starts sending her gifts from England to this space. You've been in town for at least an hour or 2 that I know of. You've seen the word indigo somewhere. One of the things that he sent her were indigo seeds. Indigo seeds basically that's a plant that makes a blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. I don't think I've seen anybody wearing it tonight. Oh, Patrick's Got it. Big deal. Thank you, Patrick, for the one example I normally get every night. Because nobody wears blue jeans anymore. I don't even think I have like regular denim jeans. But anyway, once she got them, she didn't know what to do with these seeds. So she had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's not always hot and humid here, believe it or not. Then she moved it to another plantation when she figured out how to keep it going. She calls her father over in England and says, the rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with this indigo. We now have an international businesswoman during colonial times. Now that is her business. Let's get into the weird stuff, because that's why everybody's here. Eliza.
She's the one in Georgetown off of 17, Eliza, who she had George Washington come in and the old tree thing. Okay.
Yep.
Right. That's what I thought the name.
Yep. Good job remembering all of that. So, we're going to kind of go through a series of questions based on who has what spirit box. Let's go with Elena. Am I getting that right? No. So I want to go with this spirit box specifically. So, I want you, once we separate, and I say, all right, go ask your questions and have fun, I want you to figure out which Eliza we're dealing with. Charles had two wives named Eliza. The first wife, Eliza, died in January of 1744. The one I just told you about, he married in May of 1744, 5 months later after his wife's death. Really smart and really stupid to marry a second wife with the same name, depending on how you look at it. Ironically, both Elizas have a maiden name, meaning the name they had before they were married, that starts with the letter L. Ask what her maiden name is, and hopefully you'll find out which Eliza we're dealing with. Please.
Yeah.
When we separate, I want you to ask what happened to the mansion. It's obviously not here anymore. If you get an answer, ask when it happened. Hopefully we get a date. If anything, hopefully we get a year. So again, very specific, obviously numbers and dates that we're looking for. Obviously a specific type of happening of what occurred to the mansion. Let's see. The red spirit boxes. Let's see what we're going to go with. Caitlin, you're going to go after the children. I want you to ask 2 questions about the kids, and that's it. How many she had and what their names were. Don't poke the bear with this one. The reason being is because there's a tragedy among their children. If we poke the bear, all activity, even our EMF spikes, are going to go away. Don't mess it up for everybody. No pressure at all. Where's my other red spirit box? I'm going to get these names right. You're confusing the hell out of me. Your spirit box, I want you to ask anything you want to about Eliza's death, and that would be going for you, Sam. Almost like the two of you would almost be working together. Ask how old she was when she died, where she died from, where she's buried. I know, history's so boring. We're going to wake you up. And what president was a pallbearer at her funeral? So, again, these are all very specific questions. So, basically stick to how old she was and what she died from, where she's buried, and who is the president at her funeral. What other spirit boxes do I have out here? Did I cover everybody? I think I did. Perfect. All right, so cameras, we're definitely going to go, not filming cars directly, so kind of keep moving. Lasers are safe in here. Just make sure they don't touch vehicles. Just kind of keep them at the tip of your toes as you're moving nice and slow, Kathleen. So when you're filming, obviously just stand right beside her, right behind her, however you want to do it. But make sure your camera's nice and level, because we might capture orbs in the background. We never know. As far as pictures, lots and lots of pictures. Obviously the lasers are going to be in effect. Again, however you want to do it. Just be nice and still, so that way we can actually find anything that might actually be in there, instead of just a bunch of blurry pictures. I am going to keep Matthew behind. Everybody else, we're going to spread out. Just keep in mind, do not go in between vehicles. If people get really touchy, these are workers of people that work down here in the city of Carlson. So if they're going here to their break, they don't want to see a bunch of video cameras on their car. Fair? All right, let's have some fun. I'll be bouncing around with every one of you here in just a moment, but Matthew, I'm going to start with you. So come on back. I got to write down those numbers first. Pretty awesome. enough to drink. Big John has them thrown out by the bartender. They come back the next night and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on and he slams down his beer and goes over and just starts beating the heck out of these guys, pounding them right into the floor. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets hit in the neck and the bullet lands behind him in the wall. Gets up after being the only one being shot, by the way, goes back to the bar and tells the bartender, get him another beer, get the two guys on the floor an ambulance. So, the irony of the story is that normally I tell you that a building is haunted, you think of some tragic death. Nobody died in that story that I just told you. The bullet hole is what's haunting the place. It's allegedly still here. Even if the new renovation of Big John's filled it in, because I haven't been in since they renovated it, Big John's blood is inside this building. People that sit in the front tend to get a little bit of a, headache, queasiness, nausea, that kind of mentality. This is your heated warning. Fingers crossed we're going to be dealing with paranormal activity tonight because that's what you guys all paid for, but I can't make the ghosts do anything because they're not on the payroll. I'm not paying them to come out and say boo. However, if anybody feels any of those symptoms tonight, I do need to know immediately so we can move the whole group and get that person to safety. We will blame the humidity first, just so everybody knows. Now, everybody just kind of looked at me like, what did we just sign up for? So, have you guys been taking any kind of Charleston history tours at all? Yes, no's, have not? You have in the past? Well, you're from here, so, you grew up around here. So we had a big earthquake here in 1886, right? So every tour talks about it. That's the reason why I asked if you actually put another tour or not. But this building behind me is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. The white manta you see in the middle of the building apparently broke off, hit somebody in the back of the head and killed them, and they say you can see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. I say allegedly a lot with that because I don't have any proof. It's just a great segue so Kathleen's not thinking about getting sick on the tour. So, we're going to go up and learn more about your devices, and I'll be answering any of your questions that you might have before we deep dive into much further history of colonial times. So let's head up to our next spot and get us off this very noisy street corner we're going to head to. So first and foremost, those of you with cameras, because all three of them are in play tonight, we will be going to spaces where there may be parked vehicles like this space or people walking by. We do not film or take pictures of vehicles, and we definitely do not film anybody walking by looking like crazy YouTubers out here. They don't know what we're doing because they're just walking by, and they haven't taken my tour before. So, again, people get a little funny about their cars being filmed, just so you know. So, what is this space? Welcome to the Big Red Barn. Notice my voice dropped, obviously not just from the noise at East Bay Street, but because there are horses inside the Big Red Barn. Those horses can hear us because there's no glass in those windows. Now, the only history here is really simple, so we can talk more about your devices. This is the same red barn that held horses that used to deliver milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. Obviously, keywords being delivery, milk, eggs, and we're not going to use Charleston because we're listening to Charleston radio stations. But let's talk about the spirit boxes first. This is not TV, this is not a Ouija board. Everybody wants to ask the same question whenever they have a spirit box or communication device. What do you guys think that question might be?
Is anyone here?
Is anybody here, right? So, let's see. If Leona hears the answer no, that means somebody's here. We're not going to be asking yes or no questions all night long. So if you say, if anybody here, and somebody hears the word no, obviously they answered you. So we're not going to be asking yes or no questions all night long. Even if you're a skeptic, you're still here to have fun and hopefully find some paranormal proof. We're going after the details tonight. So for an example, those of you that have never used a spirit box before, I would give you easy questions that you already know the answers to. For example, if somebody's here, tell me what color the Big Red Barn is. Obviously, we are listening and looking for the color red. However, most of you are using spirit boxes that are waiting for song lyrics and DJs that convey messages back to us. The word red might not be available to that DJ or song lyric, but fire truck, blood, heart, those three things are specifically red. I would take that as an acceptable answer. What color's the big red barn? Blood. I'm good with that. However, most of the night I'm going to require that there's at least two kind of pieces of verification going on with a clue to be able to verify that it's actual paranormal activity. Another example, who has my word list? Who's got the one with the word list? All right, so let's say that that word list actually has the word art on it. That doesn't mean anything to this location by itself. But is it Caitlin?
Yeah.
I got it right this time. But Caitlin, here's the number 40. So again, together, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. You guys see where we're going to be putting the clues together throughout the entire evening? So again, a lot of these people from the colonial times all have the same names, Charleses and Georges and that kind of thing. We need to know who the heck we're talking to. So let's talk about the cameras at this point. Spirit boxes, you should have a basic gist of how you're going to be listening to those particular spirit boxes. And at certain locations, I'm going to give you impromptu questions, but I am going to withhold information on purpose so that way everybody has a genuine experience. Cameras, we're going to start with yours, Patrick. You're going to try to do two things for us. I know I told you not to film people, but I definitely want you to try to keep one of us in view at all times. The reason for that is because we're going to be the warmest thing out here. That's going to give us the array of color on the screen and much easier to find cold spots. The second thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out. The blue dot I spoke about earlier is going to default to the sky looking for a surface. Obviously, there's no surface on the sky. So again, people in, sky out. That's the easy. Some of the spaces we're going to is going to be impossible. Just try to do your best.
Good.
Martin and Kathleen, I'm going to have you guys work together here for just a moment. I came back. That's okay. What happened? It's sometimes a little sensitive.
Buckets up here because I'm kind of holding it like
No, it's this thing. Somebody was messing with the tightness of it last week, and I've been having trouble with it ever since. There you go. All right, so go ahead and point one of your lasers down for me. Perfect. So when you're actually, trying to film those lasers, you don't want to be pointing down at it because we already know what the circles look like. You want to actually take 2 to 3 steps backwards. You want to be about 4 to 5 feet away so that way your camera kind of levels out, and that way when something does come through, it's going to be very prominent on, and that way you're not looking down at it and we're trying to guess where it was at exactly. So certain locations, we'll actually put those up on a wall, depending on our location, and lasers are not always in that safe zone. So with that said, I'm sure Kathleen would love to share an earbud with you so that way you can listen in on that spirit box as well. So I kind of divide these up on purpose the way that they are set up so that way we have enough evidence to go through. But again, it looks like yours is still recording, which is awesome, so I'm good with that. Did it stop? Did it freeze up? Nope, you're still good. You're still good. All right. The only thing I really need to work with would be Matthew on his device, but we're going to do that at the next location. And then we're definitely going to get those spirit boxes loud and proud once I get through the history of the next location. And that way you guys know what you're actually looking for. So any questions that I can answer about your devices before we go hit the actual first paranormal stop?
Basically, I'm just looking for cold spots.
Yep,
Right?
black and blue.
Black and blue.
That are moving or taking shape of their own. And then I usually look for 15-degree temperature drops.
Right.
So you have that ambient crosshairs in the center, so that way you can kind of pinpoint something if you'd like. But again, I look for a 15-degree difference between the two things.
So I'll be able to tell ambient temperatures too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. I can see that inside.
No, it's going to be in the center.
Oh, I see. Okay. Right.
It's like an 83 on the ground, so that way.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Any other? Yep, you can take pictures pretty much all night long. You just don't want to be, if somebody's like going into their car, you don't be taking pictures of somebody's car. So, but have you seen any colors yet on your device?
I saw, orange.
You saw an orange, so like right in the middle. So about a 10. Okay. Matthew, did you see any numbers show up on yours yet?
Not yet. No.
Nothing yet. All right. So we have about a 10 over here, which isn't super exciting, but at least we have something going on. Anybody listening to their spirit boxes with the earbuds that actually heard anything? Or are you all focused on me? It's usually what happens. It's hard to listen to the fast-talking guy and the radio stations. All right, perfect. Let's head up to the next stop and let's go see what we can find. I think this part is really good. You guys are going to be my quiet. Lock this up. This one likes to lock up from time to time. The new upgrade to this is in the shop. So, just want to make sure we get rid of those bugs before we truly get rolling. So, the accompanying item with this guy is, this is the neuralizer for Men in Black. Nobody's going to remember anything by the time we're done. Yes, you guys got the Men in Black joke. So, lasers. So we're going to be using lasers because basically in a nutshell you can see the pen, you can see the laser on the ground, but you can't see the lasers until something passes through it. Now the camera that I just handed over to Martin basically is going to be filming through these lasers all night long in certain spaces just because where we're actually going to be allowed to use them. So with that said, we're hoping that I can capture a still and give you the full JPEG picture of what we actually caught. We're going to be using two different styles. The second one gives us red squares. In the event we capture something here, I can take that still and put it in 3D software and give you the full 3D view of what we caught along with the measurements of that entity. So with that said, Miss Kathleen, these always go to adults. So you're going to be using both of these. So the two of you are going to be working together. So the pen, just so you know, has a little button right here. When you use it, it has to stay on the ground. So there is a laser law in Charleston, hence why they only go to adults. You always want to make sure when you turn them on, the tip of it stays right by your toe, so that way you know you have the laser controlled. So a little bit further out, right there, perfect. So that way you can always have, like, we're looking for things up in here. So you're going to be using both of them, but this one has a toggle switch. So once you turn it on, it stays on. Just be careful that you're not moving it around while it's on. Let's get into spirit boxes. Everybody loves using spirit boxes. It's usually why most people come and see me. I have 5 different types of spirit boxes, and I have 6 total. 2 of them are twins. So the first of the twins, spirit boxes, if you're unfamiliar with them, are basically going to sweep through FM radio stations at a very fast rate. So with that said, this is just like what you would hear on TV, and it's just the white noise. And then the host will tell you what he thinks he heard in the middle of it. So again, we're going to be doing that kind of similar style, but a little bit of a different method. Reason being is because none of you are trained to listen to white noise for 2 hours at a time. With all the history I spout off, somebody's going to fall asleep. These are slowed down. I want the radio chatter to come through. So if you hear song lyrics, DJs, anything like that, I want to know what you heard. So if you hear welcome to Charleston kind of mentality, I want to know that you heard welcome to Charleston. So you're going to have an earbud in. Did I get the name right? All right, perfect. So you're going to be the only one to hear it in real time. However, this one is recording. Everybody's going to get this recording back tomorrow morning. She can mess with the volume all she wants to because it can't mess up the recording. I will be spot checking it in the morning on top of writing down everything she hears in real time. Now your earwax is gross, you get to keep that. So I don't want these earbuds back. So you have to undo the twist tie when you're, to get them started, and then your volume button is a wheel right here at the top. I'm going to make sure it's turned all the way down. So go ahead and get those started and undo your twist tie so you can pop an earbud in. The other twin does not record. So these are super fun, by the way. Missing your name.
Caitlin?
Caitlin. I missed that. I don't know. Caitlin, you're going to get the other one. So this one doesn't record, so I'm going to have to rely on you and what you hear in real time. So again, kind of keep that in mind. Again, your earwax is nasty, you get to keep that. Your volume button is the wheel at the top. I'm making sure it's turned all the way down, and it is sweeping perfect. The next spirit box we don't actually have to listen to. It's just going to give us a set of words from time to time in the middle of the screen. This would kind of feel like an obulus of the things you guys see on TV where it just gives you the word. It's going to save all of the words to a list. The last tour I did had 72 terms. That's about average for 2 hours worth of time frame. I'm going to clear them out and start you guys off fresh. So that way we have our own list, because they already have theirs. Now, this is a phone app. This thing has 36,000 terms and phrases in it. 80% of it's going to be garbage. It's going to be the other 5 to 20% that's going to be relative to the location of where we are, a person in history we're talking about, or even something going on with one of you. So, Leona? Yeah, I figured you're a little quiet. I got to get you talking. So, I don't want to see every word that pops up. I will come to you when I want to see the word list. You can check it out just by hitting that little white box before you get the word list. Spirit boxes, I try to put at least one in every single word. So, Lisa, was it? Wow, look at me. I got one name right. So, your spirit box works a little bit differently because I need this one to be open air next to the thermal imaging camera that Patrick's using. So that way, in case you miss something, the audio will be on the camera because it doesn't record. So, with that, this is going to sweep through AM and FM radio stations simultaneously and try to take out the white noise that you young ladies are listening to. And only give you words. It's only going to give you about 10 to 12 things you can actually make out through the whole time we're going to be together. So this way the two of you can actually use this guy together as he's kind of filming and watching around. That way you guys can verify what you guys actually heard. The only thing you need to worry about is how to hold it. The blinking lights are the top. So on the right-hand side for you, there's a mute button. It's on mute right now, but it's the only button there. So when I say it's safe to unmute it, you'll unmute it, and that way the two of you can actually listen in together. Let's see. This spirit box is a really old style of spirit box. This is usually like the last one that I'll actually bring out, just because it is an older style. Missing names. I know, but a car was driving by. I missed it. Elena. Got it. So your spirit box works the same way as the two red ones with the earbuds, but it has a ball speaker for your ball on the side. You have to tilt it up, get the volume, up, and hold it down. Alright, you guys have all seen these on television, right? The electromagnetic field meters. So these are pretty much a staple on a ghost hunt. I use these to debunk things. I want to know what's going on with the colors on this, just to see if it's coming from something man-made. So wiring, parking meters, and the light, those kind of things. So again, Miss Miya, you're going to actually have two jobs. You're going to also be taking pictures, because most teenagers don't know what this digital camera is. So you're going to be taking hundreds and hundreds of pictures, even through the lasers. Like that would be good too, in case they miss something on the film. But again, hundreds and hundreds of pictures. There is no flash, which means you have to be very still when you take a picture. We don't want that false positive. So again, just let me know what colors you see on this, and lots and lots of pictures. The shoot button is the big one on the right. You get two jobs as well. Happy with it?
Yeah.
Ah, look at me. I got a couple of them right. So, your device, you're my multitasker.
Okay.
So in a nutshell, your device has three different functions. It has an EMF meter in it, just like what I gave Miya, but it's digital, and it goes way higher than hers, so it's way more accurate. Anything above 2.5 on your numbers, I want to know what's going on. Okay, so that would be her second green dot. We'll kind of compare and kind of see what's going on. The bottom is ambient temperature. If Patrick finds something on his camera, you and I can debunk it by using the thermometer right here at the very top. It's an ambient thermometer. Last but not least, it actually has a motion sensor in it. So anything gets close to that antenna that I just brought out, it's going to go off. I am not touching it right now. I'm just close to it. I'm touching it now. Obviously different tones, different colors in there. We're going to talk more about those at our second location, just because that'll be the first place that we actually use it. For now, I just need you to get used to how those numbers move.
Okay.
All right. Now that everybody's geared up, I didn't miss anybody, right? Everybody's good? All right. Martin's in charge. You guys go have fun. No, I'm kidding. Don't go anywhere. Just to make sure everybody's paying attention. All right. So,
What's your name, sir?
Nick.
Nick, okay.
Guy with the hat, whatever you feel like calling me, that's fine too. Yeah, the sweaty guy with the hat. Wool was not my smartest decision of the day, so we'll just put it that way. So we start here for a reason. Of course we do. Big John's behind me. That was in everybody's text. The place is haunted, so let's get into that place. This place used to be owned by a football player. His name was Big John Kennedy. It was his bar. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. Every time I'm telling you the history of a location, I will do my best to slow down and give you key words that are relative to the location based on all of the spirit boxes in play. This one would be 47 New York Giants and anything related to a bar or the name John. So we used to sit in the back of the bar, and he would tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough